All right, today we're jumping into a tool that is absolutely essential if you're working with APIs, Postman. This is going to be your fast-track guide to sending your very first API requests and really understanding what's going on under the hood. So let's dive right in. So let me guess, you're working with an API, right? And you need to check if it's working, see what kind of data it spits back, or maybe send some data to it. But you really don't want to spin up an entire application or write a ton of code just for a simple test. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's a classic headache for developers. And that's exactly where Postman comes in to save the day. Just think of it as your personal command center for anything and everything API related. It gives you this clean visual interface to do all your testing and exploring, and it's going to save you a massive amount of time and effort. So what is Postman, really? Let's break down how it actually organizes your work, starting from the very top. Everything in Postman starts with what's called a workspace. Honestly, it's basically your main project folder. So if you're working on a new web app, you'd create a workspace for it. All your tests, all your different API calls, everything for that project lives right there, all in one place.
Okay, so you've got your main project folder, your workspace. But inside that project, how do you group together all the related requests so it's not just a big mess? Well, that brings us to the next key concept.
You use collections. And the best way to think about a collection is it's like a playlist for your APIs. Seriously. If you have a bunch of requests for handling users, like creating a user, getting their info, deleting them, you'd group them all into a user API collection. It just keeps everything super neat and logical. And this is why they're so incredibly powerful. You're not just organizing things, you're building a reusable toolkit. You can share these collections with your teammates so everybody's on the same page, which is, absolutely critical for staying consistent. Plus, and this is a big one, you can run all the requests in a collection at once to do automated tests. It's just crazy efficient.
Okay, so we know where to put our requests now. But what exactly is an API request? Let's break down its core parts. Think of this as the mission briefing before we send our first one out into the wild.
Every single request you make, I don't care how complex it is built from these basic pieces. You've got the method, which is the action verb, the URL, which is the address you're sending it to, headers, which are kind of like special instructions on an envelope, and sometimes a body, which is the actual message inside. Let's focus on the two most common methods you'll use all the time. A GET request is basically you asking a server, hey, can you get me some information? A POST request, on the other hand, is you telling the server, hey, please take this new information and post it to your records. So one fetches and the other creates. Simple as that. Now, about those headers, these are really crucial little bits of metadata. For instance, the content type header tells the server what kind of data you're sending. If you're sending JSON, you have to say so right here. Otherwise, the server might get confused and not know how to read your message. And that brings us to the body. This is the actual payload, the stuff you're sending. So if you're using a POST request to create a new user, their name, their email, all that info would be right here, inside the body. You won't use the body for GET requests, though, because you're just asking for data, not sending any new stuff. And you can send that data in a few different formats. You might see form data used for uploading files, or XWW form URL encoded from simple web forms. But for most modern APIs, and for what we're doing, you'll almost always be using raw to send structured data, usually as JSON. So that's our focus today. All right, mission briefing is complete. It is time to get our hands dirty. Our first mission is nice and simple. We are going to fetch some data from a public API using a GET request. Let's do it. Okay, so in Postman, you're going to open a new request tab. First thing, make sure that drop-down menu is set to GET. Then just paste in the URL you see here. It's from a free public API that's perfect for testing, and then hit that big blue send button. It's really that easy. And boom, mission accomplished. Just look at that. In the response window, you'll see the data you asked for, a nice JSON object representing a blog post. And you see that status 200 OK? That's the universal code for everything worked perfectly. What a beautiful sight. Fantastic. You've successfully pulled data from a server. Now it's time to level up. For our second mission, we're going to send data to the server and create something totally new using a POST request. The process is pretty similar. Open a new tab, but this time we're going to select POST. We'll use a slightly different URL. And here is the crucial difference. We're going to go to the Body tab. From there, we'll select Raw and make sure the format is set to JSON. This is exactly where we'll write our data.
Here's the exact data we're going to send. It's just a simple JSON object with a title, a body, and a user ID. You can type this or paste it directly into Postman's body editor. All set? Okay, let's hit send. Success! Look at that response. The server sent us back our data, but check it out. It added a new ID to it. This is our confirmation that our post was successfully created in its system. The big takeaway here is that we just changed data on a server somewhere. That's a huge step. Mission success on all fronts. Well done. Let's do a quick debrief and talk about the new power you now have right at your fingertips. So while we focused on JSON, which is by far the most common format you'll see, Postman can handle others too. You might run into XML, especially with older corporate systems. And sometimes if a request goes wrong, a server might just send back an HTML error page. Postman lets you look at all of these, so you always know what you're getting back.
And that's really the big takeaway. With just these two simple commands, get and post, you have the fundamental building blocks to interact with the vast majority of APIs out there. You can fetch information, create new things, and see exactly how any service responds to you. You're not just a passive user of the web anymore. You're an explorer who can talk directly to the services that power it. So really, the only question left is, with this new superpower, what are you going to explore or build first?